Well, that was a nice little downpour to cool off the afternoon. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This beautiful thunderstorm just swept across the old ghost town. Beautiful spot. Really cooled off now. Well, good morning, welcome to day 2 on our 4-day ghost town adventure. Not too bad yesterday. We only did about 3.5 to 4 hours detecting, and we got cut short by that early afternoon thunderstorm, which rolled through for a couple of hours. Beautiful bit of rain. Found that lovely old Teamster's bell yesterday. That was quite a depth with the thunder on the max. I'm going old school today. I've gone back to my AT Pro. And I've got a little 5x8 coil on there, the accessory coil that you can buy for the AT Pro. And I'm going to go into the target clutter areas today. That big coil yesterday was great, gave me good depth and lots of coverage, but when you get into the main part of town where the change station is, and all the activity, is so much iron, and the target clutter and the big coil just doesn't recover from those signals. It won't separate the high tone targets with all the iron around. So today I'll try the little coil. We're going to run down along the creek bank where I found that golden phoenix last time I was here, and then back around the back of the coach change station. And when we get down there, there's an interesting story I'll tell you about what happened there way back in August 1875. Let's get started. And my first target of the day with the AT Pro with the little coil is a piece of lead. Almost looks like a fat cockatoo facing right. Anyway, just shows you a bit of activity right where I was standing. It's the base of an old beer bottle. It dates from the 1870s, late 60s. Just in front of us here, I think was a hut or some kind of shack, because there's a bit of a ceramic scatter just up in front of us. So for this morning's session I'm using the faithful old AT Pro with the 5x8 double D coil. I've literally found thousands of coins and relics with this thing. It's been around a while now, but it's just about still one of the best professional level relic and coin machines you can buy. Full ground balancing circuit, and the Pro mode's absolutely awesome because you have the access to the proportional audio and the tone roll audio, so you get a lot of information in the audio circuit apart from the digital target ID. Great machine. So I've got 7 points of sensitivity and 35 points of iron set. Have a look at this gorgeous weather this morning. The wind's dropped off since yesterday. After the storms went through, that sort of killed off that northwesterly. Colin's just up there on the creek bank, working away slowly down towards the old coach crossing. But today's slightly cooler. It's only going to be 28 degrees today, and just a light breeze. And I don't think there's any thunderstorms predicted for this evening, so we might get a big day in today. But look at this, just beautiful spot to be at here. We're the only people for miles. Just beautiful. Okay, probably 30 metres from that where I got that Teamster's bell yesterday. And here's a surface find. More bell. That's definitely a bell. That's a big one, that one. Pity the rest of us not here. Maybe it is. But that was on the surface. Of course the detectors alerted me to it, but it's been sunbaking there for over 100 years. Obviously must have fallen off the cattle and got stood on and crushed or broke, or obviously they're quite fragile. You would think that it'd be more robust than that, but the reason that they're laying here broken is that perhaps they're not. Just got a ripper of a find here that connects me directly to these pioneers in this old 1860s ghost town. A 4-hole button, and I can see that it's branded, so I'll just give it a clean and see if we can get a brand off it. But that's a beautiful old relic. Typical target ID on that, 58. Now that's where you're going to find your half sovereigns on a Pro too, so it could have been a half sovereign, but instead it's a beautiful old relic from the the people that walked this town all those years ago. What a ripper. Well, Colleen's still back there. She hasn't moved 50 metres from camp, but maybe I should go back and get a report. She's obviously onto something because she's been there for ages. She's there under that tree. Mightn't be visible on the video. I just kept going, but she's been digging around that tree for about 20 minutes. Hope there's good news to come. Well, this is a good solid 5960 lead range signal. I've got a Kinder Surprise, and it looks like I've got a lead round. Is it a round? I don't know. It could be a bullet. It's lead. It could be a... No, it's probably not a bullet. I thought it might have been a fired bullet, but it's a strange shape for that, isn't it? Some sort of lead tube, and it's been cut off. Well, it is grooved. It's got the circumferential grooves there. I don't know, we'll have to study that. I don't think it's a round, but it could be. I'm just near the back of the old coach change station now. Okay, we just digged that piece of lead here at the back of the old coach change. Good time to tell you a story about what happened here on the evening of the 19th of August 1875. Now this scene is unchanged since that time. It would have just looked just like this. The coach change building would have been there, of course, but that's the scene that anyone would have been confronted with who were here at that time. Anyway, so what happens is there's two constables, Queensland Mounted Police, come in from the west with two prisoners. The prisoners are in leg irons. They've been arrested for armed robbery, and they're going east to the courthouse and trial. Now what happens is they accommodate the prisoners in the back of the coach change station in a small room off the dining room. Now this small room off the dining room must have been a dirt floor, I'm assuming from the report. Vertical slab, typical slab timber building. I'll put up a picture of a slab timber building if I can find one. Where the vertical timber slabs are just set into the soil. There's no concrete floor or any kind of flooring, and then they're set into a roof beam, and the roof comes up off top of that. Anyway, there's a bit of a kerfuffle after dinner, and it's discovered that there's an accomplice who'd checked into the inn several days earlier, trying to free the two prisoners. Now what he's doing is he's asked the cook. There was a Chinese cook here. Actually, where I'm sitting is where the Chinese market garden would have been. It doesn't get rave reviews, but they were getting enough water out of that creek to grow vegetables here for serving on the dining table at the old hotel. Anyway, the owner of the hotel walks around the back and he sees there's some activity out the back. What's going on? Old mate's borrowed the cook's shovel. This is all part of the testimony of the cook and the maid that were in the hotel at the time. And he's digging at the back of the hotel in the dark with the intention of removing one of the slabs and freeing the prisoners. Now earlier in the day, because he'd been here staying here a couple of days, he knew the prisoners were en route to the east. He'd stayed here in this coach hotel for a couple of days. He'd approached one of the maids, the servants who were employed here, a young lady, and he tried to coerce her into helping him by distracting the traps while they were having their meal. And what he was going to do was take some wire off one of the ginger beer bottles, which is obviously the cod bottles, whatever they had out here. So you've got the cod bottle with the ball and it's corked with the ginger beer inside, and you've got the wire holding it under pressure. Anyway, so his intention was to pick the locks of the leg irons with the wire from the ginger beer bottles. Anyway, long story short, she reports that to her boss, as you would do, and so did the cook. The cook testified that this accomplice had asked to borrow his shovel. The shovel was discovered with clay on it, so it was as evidence. It was taken east to the courthouse, and of course the perpetrator, the would-be accomplice, tried to free the two convicts, was arrested, and he was sent back west again to the local jail because there's no jail here. Actually, I don't believe there was a police station here. I've never read any record of a police station being here. So the traps come in with two prisoners. The accomplice knows what's going on. He's waiting in the hotel, tries to recruit the hotel staff, doesn't work out for him, wings it and goes it alone with the shovel that he borrowed from the cook, and then he's caught by the owner digging the hole out the back. Of course, he denies the whole thing, but I imagine he served quite a stretch after that, because the two the prisoners that the traps brought in were wanted for robbery under arms, so it was pretty serious stuff. Anyway, that was a lovely little story, I thought, from a bit of adventure. No one was actually hurt, but the way that it's written in those beautiful old 19th century newspapers is just beautiful. So there's been a bit of activity here, even though the town was only here for 10 years. A few adventurous things happened, like I told you, I think the last time I was out here, I might have told you that story about the coachman, the Cobb & Co driver, who basically shacked up with one of the young ladies from the town here for a week, while he left the coach here in the yard, and the passengers wondering when they were going to keep heading west. A week later he turns up, comes out of the hut and hitches up the horse team and takes the coach onwards, and the passengers, well, they had to wait a week for the coach to move. Although he wasn't totally derelict in his duty, this coachman. I'll put the link in the cards to the full story about this coachman, but he actually organised for a mate to send the mail onwards by horseback while he was otherwise disposed in the town. So it wasn't really dereliction of duty, because the mail was the main contract that Cobb & Co served in the area, not so much the passengers. Anyway, that's another story. But I thought that was an interesting one about the police in the dining room, while in the next room the accomplice is trying to remove the walls of the building where the prisoners are in leg irons to escape into the night. I don't know how they were going to escape into the night, because I guess they had horses waiting and that kind of thing, but great story from the from the Old West. Okay, something a bit perplexing here. I'm not far from where I was just sitting on that white ant's nest with that story about the two armed robbers. Target ID was 47 and I got a coin. Now, I don't imagine this is going to be very old. It's probably, a target ID like that's probably a 5-cent coin or something. Looks to be about that size. I don't know what that's doing out here. I think it's what it's going to be. Oh no, it's not. It's got a monarch looking right. Is it QE2? Yeah, it's QE2, pretty sure. That'll be 5 cents. What a bummer. Yeah, there you go. Nickel, that's why there's such a low target ID. Probably dropped by some stockman riding out here rounding up cattle. A couple of interesting recoveries. This very solid bit of brass, broken, possibly a tool or some sort of fitting off a wagon, I'm not sure. Well engineered, and it's very thick. That was a high target ID, as you can imagine. Okay, and the second target's over here, just recovered. This little call on the Pro is awesome, and that proportional audio is really working out in here, because you get the very faint signal. Means it's a small target or it's deep. Works beautifully. And we've got a buckle. It's an iron one, not brass. Still got the tongue. This is in the change station itself, so I'd say that's a bit of horse saddle, horse gear related. Nice. Now this is really interesting. That's the scrape I got the buckle out of. Directly under where the buckle was, literally directly underneath it, I've got a clean 77 to 81. Let's go at 90. That's pretty good. 75, 76 that way. Could be a shell casing or something, but let's go live. Going to be difficult in here. Hope the light's okay. It should be. We're in full shade here, as you can imagine, as you can see. There we go. I'll just pinpoint it first, see if we can. You could hear that it was only quite weak on that proportional audio, which means it's quite deep or it's very small. This is like a real loamy topsoil in this spot. Okay, a bit of a gale force wind blowing through there. Well, it's giving me a good 80 signal. I'm not going to get my hopes up here, because it could be, like I said, a shell casing, because it's quite deep. In this opposite 90 degrees, the target ID changes slightly. It's not a solid. Then again, it could be something laying at a weird angle, of course. careful, I go wide. I'm getting into the clay, so it should come out in one of these clay clumps. As you can see, that storm didn't penetrate anywhere last night. Not as if we got any significant amount of rain, it was quite brief. We're getting close. Boy, it's deep. For that 5x8 to get something this deep, it's probably going to be pretty large. Now that I'm thinking about that. Oh, it's out. Oh, no, it's not. The pinpoint is turned off. Okay. Getting down right into the clay now. Okay, I'll check this with the machine and I'll be back shortly. Okay, we're back alive. Hole's clean. I've got a target, which is solid, consistent, 77, 78. Right on the top of a mullock heap there, so it came out of the bottom of that hole about 9 or 10 inches when you consider the leaf litter I'm dealing with on that small coil, which is pretty awesome. Let's have a look what have we got here. Here we are, look at this. It's a little brass, it might be a maker's plate or something. It's got 2 studs in the back and it's curved. It was attached to something obviously. That was curious. It was directly under that old iron buckle, which was only a couple inches down. This is about 9 or 10 inches below that. Okay, let's clean it up and have a look at it. Okay, I don't think there's any, well, there's nothing legible on there. I'd say that's saddle brass. It's a solid little unit. Often you'll find, the shields and different decorative things. I'd say that's some sort of decorative strip, or would have been polished bright golden when it was new, being brass. And I'd say that's a saddle ornament. Anyway, let's move on. This is a nice repeatable 5355, and I've just disturbed it in the bottom of the hole. I believe we've got another button. Beautiful. Another old 19th century 4-holer. I'm in the shade here, so I can't see if that's got any writing on it. Typically our own make, best ring edge, those kind of things. All through the colonial areas of Australia get these kind of buttons. They're quite collectible actually. Okay, that was a heck of a dig in this thick clay on the creek bank. It's got a bit of moisture in it, so it's really sticky. Colleen detected it with her AT Max, and her pick wasn't big enough to excavate the hole, so I've done it with a big Walco, and we'll look what we got. Beautiful old 19th century hobnail boot heel. What a beauty. Right on the crossing, this is the actual crossing where the coaches went through this river crossing next to the change station. Beautiful bit of history there. So just for reference, this is where we are. That's the old coach road crossing the creek. Dry there, but it'll be running underground. There's the Billabong. We camp further down that way. So it's in use now as a modern station track, but that's the old coach road. That old cemetery's on the other side somewhere. I've got to go over and have a look for that. Next couple of days we're going to go for a walk over there. We'll grab a backpack and do a few hours, see if we can find that old cemetery. It's a bit of an ask. The grass is long and I don't think there's any substantial headstones, but who knows? Might find some evidence of an old cemetery over there. And that's the head of the Billabong in this area where Colleen just got that boot heel, so nice little spot for a sit down in the shade actually. But anyway, it's morning tea time. We'll head back to the van and put the billy on. Okay, on the way back to camp up on the top of the creek bank, we've got to have a look at one of Colleen's earlier finds that she left there for us to film, so we'll go and have a look at that now on the way back to morning tea. Well, camp's in sight there, and here's Colleen's find. Another beautiful old relic from the past, a 4-hole button on the creek bank. It's that's one of those interesting ones. It's got the oval centre. There's no branding, but it's got it's a 2-hole button, oval centre, with some concentric sort of decoration on it. That's a nice one.
I think this is just one of those glass bottle tops. This
Oh yeah.
usually has a
On the other end.
round. Is it on the other end?
Yeah, yeah.
This end where they have the big round.
It's a glass bottle stopper, like a whole Brooks bottle or something.
Yeah, that's the only piece that I found there. So,
Okay. That was a surface point, obviously.
yeah, just here.